everybody, and welcome to another Halloween episode of Horror Movie Night. I can't believe that it's taken us almost 300 episodes for us to finally do an episode on Hocus fucking Pocus. But not only do we have Scott, not only do we have Brian, but we have the mother of Horror Movie Night, the goddess.
Whoa.
The one and only Scott's wife, Megan.
Thank you, Matt, for that marvelous introduction. Yes. 300 years it took to get to this point.
She's been practicing for a couple days.
And it doesn't sound any different than the first time.
So the craziest thing that I never really thought about until I was watching this movie today is that we're talking about this PG witch movie that was made by Disney, but it was written by Mick Garris and Dave Kirshner.
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
Scott forgot that until we were watching it together, and he was like, whoa, what? Oh my God. And he's like, stop that, rewind.
We watched Hocus Pocus together multiple times.
Half a dozen times.
I'd say at least 6 times, yeah, in our 12 years together. I have forgotten that Mick Garris co-wrote it every single time. And literally listening to the Hocus Pocus retrospective that he did on Postmortem years ago, I was like, he wrote it?
Yeah.
Keep forgetting.
Brian, you know who Mick Garris is, right? We've talked about a couple of his movies.
No.
Brian,
Sleepwalkers.
Remember the mom, son, cat sex?
Oh, that.
Death by Corn Cob?
But
I
then
was just assuming he was like the Rolling Stones or something.
No, he also wrote Psycho 4. He writes a lot of mom-son incest movies. And then Dave Kirshner, pretty much all of his credits are that he produced every Child's Play movie. So it's like insane that those two joined forces to write a PG Disney movie.
Yeah.
It's as weird as like Stuart Gordon wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like that's as like
I don't know. I feel like that might be even weirder on a certain level, but then also not when you put into consideration how much Mick Garris is obsessed with incest. So yeah, I don't know. Like it's a real toss up. That's a coin flip, my friends.
I'm telling you right now, when we do our like Black Friday poll for what's the first movie we talk about in the new year, that Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is my pick. I've already made that decision. And I am going to propose, if that wins and we talk about it, how much better that movie would be if Jeffrey Combs was playing Rick Moranis' part.
Oh my God.
No, Rick Moranis is the best. That's one of my favorites. Scott will not watch that movie with me.
Is it because the death of the ant makes him cry?
Oh, no. Did you guys ever go to
We watched it together.
Yeah, but you hated it. Did you guys ever go to Universal Studios and like play in the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids playground with like the giant ant and the giant Kodak?
Giant Lego, right?
It was a giant Kodak film.
So
I think I'm going to be a nerd. I believe that was Hollywood Studios.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the other thing, while we're talking about like Disney and all things Disney, the big thing that I always remember with this movie is Thackeray Binks is voiced by the same actor who voiced Max Goof in a Goofy movie and was kind of a regular voice actor.
Boy Meets World, though.
Yes, he was Boy Meets World. He was Step by Step. He was part of that TGIF Disney world. But what I love, and it's so funny catching it now, is like, it's obviously not him playing Thackeray Binks as a human. And I've noticed more in watching it how often all of Thackeray Binks' dialogue is not showing him saying it. Like it's like,
but that explains why, like, literally us watching it for this episode, Megan was like, did you know that is not the voice of like the voice of Thackeray Binks, the actor?
Not that boy.
And I was like, no.
He was like, no?
Because like I was like, man, Disney did a really good job of ADR, because you know what we watch on this show is like the worst fucking ADR you've ever seen, where it's basically like people talk and then there's voice, you know, like it's so bad. And then like Disney's got the Disney money.
They cheat a lot. Like it's always like he'll yell someone's name when it's a shot of them being pulled away in the woods, but not him. And then like it cuts to the actual actor reacting to having just yelled.
Man, you are way more like observant than I am.
Yeah, we were like, we talked about it in the first 30 seconds of the film, and I was like, Scott, did you know? And then every 10 minutes he'd be like, wow, Disney did a great job with that ADR. So he was even looking for it, Matt, and couldn't find it.
I'm not the most clever person that you're going to hear on this show, all right?
But I mean, Thackeray Binks is great. I secretly wanted a cat named Thackeray, just hoping that it would talk. Same reason why I wanted a cat named Salem in my life.
I secretly wanted a cat that would turn into that cute boy.
Do we really want to? Do we want to talk about?
No, we won't get to that yet.
Well, okay, later on we have to talk about how it fucks up so many girls.
The stars of this movie are three witches. They play off of each other so well, and I've seen memes that like bounce around all the time. It's like, why aren't we remaking Hocus Pocus with Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, and Maya Rudolph? And respect to all three of those women, but I don't think anyone will ever capture the unique chemistry that these three have in this role, because it doesn't make sense that they have as much chemistry as they do.
Wait,
but
is
somehow
Melissa
do.
McCarthy supposed to be Kathy and Jimmy's character? And
Yeah, you'd think.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah,
but she seems like she could be. She's
Maya
the
Rudolph would be Sarah Jessica Parker.
No.
Yeah.
No, Kristen Wiig would be
Maya
the
Rudolph
Sarah
would be-
Jessica Parker. I would
You
say.
think? No, I'm sided with Megan.
Yeah.
I think that
Maya Rudolph's way cuter.
Or Melissa McCarthy. She should be Winnie.
Yeah.
I agree with that, honestly.
I think that she should be Bette Midler's character.
Oh, wait, no.
That's Winnie, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just not her biggest fan.
Me
Oh
neither,
no,
Brian.
I'm not saying she's amazing, but Brian, have you ever seen the movie The Nine with Ryan Reynolds and Melissa McCarthy?
No, I have not.
Holy shit, dude. It's an amazing film, and both of them are out of this world. So talented. Like, Melissa McCarthy never gets to do and say what she is because she's been typecast as the fat comedian.
Yeah, and that's why
And she's not even that overweight anymore, you know? Like, she's very talented.
I like old Melissa McCarthy. I like Gilmore Girls Melissa McCarthy a lot more than I've liked anything post Bridesmaids Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, Bridesmaids
Okay.
was such trash.
We actually like Ghostbusters Answer the Call more than Ghostbusters or than Bridesmaids.
But anyway, we're only 2 minutes into Hocus Pocus. we get introduced to Max, who is like, he's being a douche in class. Like, that's
Too cool for school.
too
He
cool
also
for school.
doesn't sound like a California boy.
Yeah,
at
that's
all.
what I was saying. I was like, the bullies sound more like they're from California than Max, you know? Like, okay,
But here's my
Hollywood.
question. What fucking class is he in where they're just talking about some random local legend like it's elementary school? Like, what class is he in? You know, we're at that time where everybody's watching Hocus Pocus. But my one friend posted a thing on his Instagram story the other day, and it was like, I've watched Hocus Pocus literally 200 times. And this is the first time that I thought, who is this random classmate that stands up and says, "Fat chance, Max," and then is never heard from again? Because that seems like that was like a storyline that was supposed to continue.
Ask fucking Mick Garris. I'm sure he had a billion subplots that never got to fruition there. Are they, what, ninth graders?
Yeah, they're 15, ninth grade.
There's no way in hell that a ninth grader or even a 10th grader is going to be like, here's my number, hot girl.
Stand up in the middle while the teacher's teaching.
It is a ballsy move. I'll give him that.
Okay,
but
maybe,
that no 15-year-old could ever pull off.
no.
Maybe the three of us couldn't pull it off, you know what I'm saying?
No, you don't do that. You just don't. It's like proposing in public.
Brian,
you
hold
don't
on
do
a
it.
second. Pause. Are
What?
you going to sit here and lecture us about what proper etiquette is in a classroom when you pretended to be another student for 3 straight days to fuck with a substitute teacher?
No, Brian!
He almost got suspended, but
He did.
he could prove.
Not Brian Kelly, but he did.
No, yeah, the student the identity that I stole was looking at suspension, but he did have physical proof and a strong alibi that he did have the flu and was not in school that day. I wasn't a good kid. I'm just saying, you don't.
Yeah, really, Brian has only been like, how many years have you been good in your life? Like the last 5, 3, 2?
I guess 7. No, I would say 5. I would say 5. I got sober 7 years ago, but it was
2 rough
still a
years
lot
and
of
now
growing
5
up to.
smooth
Yeah,
years.
there was a lot of growing up to do.
I just remember you telling us that story, and my favorite part of that story was that you like showed up in class because you saw that there was a sub, asked someone in the class who was out sick that day, and just posed as their identity during that class for like 2 or 3 days. But then what almost got the kids suspended was when the sub handed out a test and you panicked and got up and screamed, "I can't do this," and stormed out of the classroom.
Oh my God.
Sometimes I think that Matt is the Kelly brother who lives in a rom-com, but sometimes I think that Brian lives in a rom-com, except it's like a sad rom-com where he then gets addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
Brian,
but he gets
Brian
the
lives
girl
in
in
the
the
teen
end.
flick.
But it takes fucking 12 years.
I know. It took a while. I did have one Spicoli moment in high school with a teacher where not like a really cool Spicoli moment, but she was also my homeroom teacher. So she knew that I was in school and sent someone to find me. And I was found in the gymnasium.
What were you doing in the gym?
Shooting basketballs.
Okay, shooting. You paused a little too long there. Shooting basketballs.
Basketballs. This is a family show.
So one more Brian Kelly has no business saying you can't just stand up in class and do something like that story is the infamous story of when my mom had to call him and tell him to go to school to take his final for a second time. Brian had the same English teacher his freshman year.
It was social studies, and that was Miss
social
Greta.
studies.
That was the one who sent
Yeah.
someone looking for me.
Yeah, so he had Mrs. Greta. We'll put her name out there because this story's great. He had Mrs. Greta for 3 years and then said, "Well, I'll see you my senior year." And she was like, "Well, I don't teach senior year social studies." So he didn't fill out his final and just wrote "see you next year" on the top of it. And then she called our mom and was like, "I don't normally do this, but if your son comes back to the school and takes the final for real, I will pretend that didn't happen."
Oh my God,
Robin
Brian.
child.
You know what pissed me off the most about that was she made me sit there for 3 hours taking that test. And then when I handed it in, she didn't even look at it. She just gave me the grade I needed to pass.
Yep.
And then sent me home.
That's awesome. Again, Brian lives in a fucking sad rom-com, like teen comedy. So like your Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but like even more depressing.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was doing a lot of boxing, so
Oddly
it's more
enough.
like Slow Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh my God. Well, Matt, we found the first thing that's going to be in the best of year 6.
I mean, I know you're my brother, but the fact that you said oxys is like really impressive to me.
He lived through your addiction, buddy.
Buddy,
so
you're not on the show. Keep it down.
Oh, I said the wrong word. I said the wrong name. Okay, so where are we in this movie even?
we're about to introduce the bullies. We're about to introduce the bullies in
yes.
this
Best.
movie. My friend Brooke, who has been the host of 2 different podcasts that I produced and ended up getting canceled, Disneydo and Roaring Twenties, has an amazing costume where her and her friend Gia went out as these 2 bullies for Halloween one year.
Oh my God.
And the pictures are incredible. Like, they just went to a thrift store and somehow, like, the only way I can describe it is that I guess the costumer for Hocus Pocus just happened to drop off the costumes at the local Pennsylvania thrift store, and they just
But
walked
did
in
one
right
of them
afterwards.
shave ice in the back
That's what I
of
was
their
about to ask,
head?
yeah.
Because then it's nothing.
Spoiler alert, we did talk about this movie back in the day on Reddit Horror Club, and on that episode, I attempted to do the one bully's laugh, and I think I did a good job. I haven't tried it since, so we're gonna give this a shot just for old time's sake.
If the bully was like full of phlegm and had been a smoker for 25 years.
Which is funny because Matt hasn't touched a cigarette
I
or
know!
alcohol or aspirin his entire life.
It's probably the milk.
Oh, yeah.
I do. So I'm actually Facebook friends with both of those actors just because I was like, I don't know, maybe
Fucking
one day
course you are.
one day I'll need to message them and be like, hey, you want to do a podcast? Those guys are so like, I want to believe that they're riffing a lot of the time in the movie. Not like dialogue scenes, but like there's a scene where they catch him trick-or-treating and she's like, for your information, he's a little leaguer. And they do this weird little bit of playing Little League that makes me laugh every single time that I see it. Oh no, I killed the entire movie.
Remember when they pretended to play baseball? I really like that part. Is this thing on? Did I lose you?
Well, that was our episode of Hubie Halloween. When we were watching it, we were laughing about, how Danny is like, "Oh, Allison, I love you, blah blah blah, kiss me again." Like, no boy does that. Like that's again, Mick
Make out with
Garris-
a pillow?
Yeah, I never made out with a
Listen,
pillow.
I've made out with a fair share of pillows, and I
What?
don't appreciate
We're not talking
this
about the
abuse.
last 12 months, dude.
I mean, she also introduced the word yabbos into my lexicon.
Oh,
which
so
was
good.
such
You can
a good
never
line.
stop. You can never stop
Don't they
saying
use
yabbos.
yabbos and Buffy?
Her yabbos
stop at gravity.
Yeah. Okay, and that was a couple years before this. This was what, 90? Was this 95 or 93?
93.
Oh,
that
and
was
Buffy was
89.
93 as well.
Who was first?
Yabbos was just in the air at that
In the
time.
vernacular.
92. Buffy was
Oh
92.
shit! They
Okay.
got it from Buffy.
Stole
God damn
it.
you, Mick Garris! You fucking hack!
We haven't called someone a hack in a while.
I
on
know,
this
but
show.
it's been Mick Garris every time.
I sent someone a screenshot. They were talking to me about a negative review that they got on their podcast, and I was like, "Oh, check out this one." And I sent them the Jason, the Kane Hodder
so
Jason
good.
fan review.
We're gonna get another one from Jason fan 69, whatever he was, next month too, because goddamn, I got a lot of things to say about that one.
I love that Max storms into his room. He's all pissed off that he's just been scared by his little sister. And the only way to get that rage out is to play a standard rock beat on his drum set.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it's like, oh, killing it over there. With maybe he is in fifth grade, because that's like the drumming of a fifth grader.
No, that's every guitarist when he has band practice is like, "Hey, can I play your drums?" And he's like, it's the exact same fucking drum beat. It was the joke all through my decade of being in a death metal band.
Don't lie. Scott was like, "Oh wow, he really played that." He was really impressed at first. So
He did actually play it.
Man, Disney did a great job ADRing those drums.
Shut the fuck up, Matt. The only reason we're discussing this movie is because Disney Plus is free this year for me.
So the other big thing that I always wonder when I watch this movie, and I get it, it's a masquerade party, but like, man, Allison's party just seems so strange and out of place for like a Halloween night masquerade party where you just have a giant bowl of candy in the middle of your house and let strangers walk in.
Hey, when you're rich, they just let you do it.
That is true. But this is all building to when our girls show back up. The Sanderson sisters just storm into this movie, and I stop taking notes because I'm just sucked into the movie every single time. I've got nothing that I need to write down. I know this movie so well from this point.
their costumes are so good. You're right. Like you're sucked in. And I know it's like, okay, this movie's so cheesy and it's corny. And I know that it was panned too, wasn't it, Matt?
Yeah, it wasn't well received. And I remember the trailer. Like, I remember seeing this in theaters, and it was a fairly empty theater when I saw it.
You saw it in theaters in July when it came out?
It came out in July, which was insane. But it came out in July, and the trailers had a ton of scenes that didn't make the final cut of the movie. And I can't tell you what those scenes were. I genuinely don't remember. But I remember sitting in the theater being like, well, it can't be over because we didn't see those scenes. And then, like, the credits started to roll, and I was like, I'm so confused, but that movie was fun. But yeah, this in July is insanity.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, the conversation that we had while we were watching it was they probably did that so it would be on a home video, like home video debut in time for Halloween, right?
I mean, maybe, but this was at the time where sometimes it took like a year for the home video to come.
Not for Disney, my friend.
That is true. But I don't know. Well, I guess this doesn't count as one of their animated movies, so there probably was never time in the vault for Hocus Pocus.
For Hocus Pocus. No, don't think so.
We didn't make our money in the theaters in the middle of the fucking summer, so let's just toss it out on VHS.
I think they still made their money. I think I saw that it was like fourth that weekend. It wasn't like first, but they did an okay job. But critics just thought it was cheesy. And it is cheesy.
Intentionally cheesy. Like, it's not supposed to be Citizen Kane.
It's campy. It stars Bette Midler. What do you think it's going to be? It's going to be campy and cheesy and fun as hell.
There's supposed to be a sequel coming to Disney Plus, if not this
no,
October,
thank
next
you.
October. But we'll see.
Same
I think,
stars?
Yeah, they got the whole original cast back. If it's based on the young adult sequel that came out a couple years ago, it could be potentially interesting. If they have a daughter, he can't light that candle a second time. You know what I'm saying?
But you can, buddy.
Oh,
Always,
Roger.
always and forever.
That's kind of a fucked up scene, though. Is
They
that
say the word virgin so many times.
so many times, and then like, okay, so Max can light it, right? But Allison like coyly shrugs it off. Like, oh, only a virgin can light it. She's like, And Max was like, I'll light it. Like, that's a weird, creepy, oversexed thing. And they're talking about her breasts in a PG Disney movie.
Yeah, maybe it's just her being, you're right, coy about like her sex life, but at the same
They're
time,
15!
like no one owns being a fucking virgin at 15. Everybody's like, yeah, I've touched a boob.
Well, I mean, that just could be the Mick Garris flair in the middle of the script.
Mick Flaris.
Jesus.
Oh my God. I have to live with him, guys.
Brian quit the podcast for the rest of the episode.
There's cooking going on upstairs, so I have to mute myself.
Let's just talk about some of our favorite Sanderson moments, because we could take hours breaking this movie scene by scene. So let's just dive into like, once the Sandersons show up, it's basically just the Sanderson show for the next hour. So like, what are some of the moments that you absolutely love or like quote regularly? Or maybe it was a scene that you didn't think about for years, but this time watching it, it was like, man, that line's pretty funny.
Anytime Sarah Jessica Parker's breasts heave in and out of her corset.
Yeah, it makes me feel real weird because she's also like kind of a pedo in this. You know?
Yeah.
With the boys.
Oh, the little boys. We didn't know. I never noticed that. And we were like, oh, she's like very interested in the little boys. I don't like this.
Yeah, and she doesn't want to eat them. She wants to fuck them.
She wants to play with them.
Yeah, sexual.
Oh, let me play with them.
It was a while for me to catch how much of a perv the bus driver is, too, throughout
Oh,
this.
man, that's hilarious. I do love the fact that Sarah Jessica Parker is sitting on his lap and bouncing, and then he's just like, oh, but I was almost there.
One of the lines, I feel like I always blank on her last name, but Kathy Kathy Najimy's character has so many like off the cuff lines that she whispers to herself that I think are like my favorite lines now. The biggest one that got me this time around was when Max sets off the water inside the museum, and they're like, oh, it's his only water. And she just goes, 'tis quite refreshing.
She's got her hands out, like licking it out of her palms.
Yeah.
You know, if we're talking about favorite scenes, can I talk about my least favorite scene is their cover of I Put a Spell on You, which I was bitching
He was
about.
so mad. He was so mad.
Listen, you can't top, and we talked about this during Elvira, but like you can't top the Screaming Mad George or Screaming Jay Hawkins.
There you go.
His original version is like untouchable, and so you were like in Elvira, you're like, you know, I like every cover of this that I've ever heard.
I do like every cover.
Yeah, but it's because you're a fucking loser who doesn't understand good music.
No, I
Bette
can
Midler
appreciate.
did a decent job.
Yeah, it's they changed the lyrics and it's shit.
I can appreciate that Screamin' Jay Hawkins put out the best version, but I can still enjoy every version of "I Put a Spell on You" because it's a very good song.
No,
It's Bette Midler. It's a dead witch who all of a sudden knows the lyrics to the song.
It's magic.
Yes, it's magic, and so she can change them, and she can change the song. So
I was
screw
going
you.
to add,
do whatever she wants. I don't have to like it.
Brian's complained about this with Rumpelstiltskin episode. So I'm curious, how do you feel about the fact that, as Megan's pointed out, Bette Midler's character goes from not knowing anything to like being like, "Can I see your driver's permit?"
Yeah, let's cook with margarine. Let's have a driver's permit. No. I mean, it's magic, right? She's
a fast learner.
She's a fast learner. I think she says something like that, doesn't she? I swear she does.
I don't know. Brian,
Osmosis. She figures
Brian,
it all out.
are you there?
I'm here. I didn't watch it.
What? You've seen it.
I told you I didn't want to be on this episode because I didn't want to game enemies. And you forced me to be on it because you are so afraid that if I take off one episode, that means I'm on my way out the door. But I just didn't want to be a hipster. I'm over it. I hate to say it. I'm just over it.
You can be over it. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's like if we ever did a Nightmare Before Christmas episode, I'd be like, I like the first act.
Yeah,
You know?
it's exactly like that. Actually, it's just like it's everyone so like, yo, you know how nostalgic I am? Remember this movie? It's like, yeah, Chad, we remember this movie. It's just like, I was today.
Is there anything you like about it, Brian?
I don't remember. It's just overly watched. And then, he posted another thing and he's just like, I was today years old when I realized his name was Thackeray and not Zachary. And it's like, Chad, please pay your child support. Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares anymore.
I will say this much. I roll my eyes every single time that Freeform's like, here's our 31 days of Halloween, and it's like Hocus Pocus 20 times and then 11 other movies.
Yeah.
like I'm like, okay, I'm over it. Like, come on.
I think it was
Paranorman
Freeform
is
too.
a thing that exists.
I'm over Freeform just for they posted an article, and I know clickbait. I understand the point of clickbait, but they were like, Rob Zombie's most underrated movie is coming to Netflix for Halloween, and it was House of a Thousand Corpses, arguably his biggest movie ever made.
Underrated.
Yeah. His most underrated one is The Haunted World of El Super Beasto.
That was very well rated. It was you and some college kids.
So the other big thing that's worth bringing up in this movie is Doug Jones. Doug Jones rolling in
exactly.
as the zombie.
The second we saw him, Scott was like, Doug Jones, I love you!
I want a hug.
So the only other scene or line necessarily that I don't even know if it's a line. I don't know what to describe it. I just laugh every single time that they push Sarah Jessica Parker into what they think is a giant puddle of water, and it's just a road. But just the way that they look at each other and like give a little nod and then both shove her, it tickles the funny bone every time for me. I mean, that's really the big moments. I get sucked in this movie every time. I love it. I get so excited. I get so sad when I think that Thackeray's been murdered by a bus, and then when he's actually murdered for real.
And he gets like blown back up when his little body fills up.
That's some Who Framed Roger Rabbit shit right
Yes.
there.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it's upsetting. Now, I mean, I used to get, I don't know, I don't think they still sell these, but I remember as a kid, you would like go into like any Halloween store and they would have like the smashed in half cat props that you could
Oh,
put.
yes. I remember it. Or it was like a run over cat, like a rubber,
Yeah.
like the rubber rats you can buy, but it would have like tire tracks in it.
Yeah, with like guts hanging out and everything. It was like, this
Yeah.
is so gross. But I think in my mind, I remembered it being that gross in the movie too. And then like when I watched it years later, I was like, oh, yeah, that's not as...
It's just a flat cat.
Yeah, it's just a flat cat. It kept all of its internal organs inside of it somehow through, I guess, immortal
Magic cat.
Like,
What we really need to talk about is the fact that when Thackeray dies for real, he kisses Danny, Thora Birch's character, on the cheek, and she basically like has her entire sexual awakening and then has it ruined by a ghost. And Megan and I looked at each other and we were like, that's really fucked up. You know, like no one's
Because he's like a hot ghost.
He's a hot ghost, and she's just at the cusp of, you know, like understanding what, you know, sexuality is, I'm assuming. And
Well,
so
she's 8. I don't know. She's
don't
got a
know.
little more
But
time.
Okay, well, but regardless, it's like it's implied in the movie that she like loves Thackeray as a cat, and then he kisses her as a ghost, and then he's like, bye, and then she's like, what? We're gonna kiss some more.
You're hot.
Yeah, like it just fucks you up. Like if you were a girl, and it fucked up Megan because she was like, I want a hot ghost.
Hot ghost cat.
I want hot ghost, boys.
the other thing that like is kind of a, you know, we haven't played this game in a little bit, but you know, did Matt cry? Yes, he did. And I do get, there's something that's like really sweet in this movie, and it's not towards the end. It's actually in the middle of the movie when they think that they've killed the Sandersons, and Thackeray at this point just assumes, well, I guess I'm just a cat forever. And Danny's falling asleep and she's petting the cat and she's saying something like, you're just going to be my cat, and then you'll be my kid's cat, and then you'll be my grandkid.
My kids' will take care of you, and everyone will take care of you.
Yeah, and it's just like, that scene just like hits me. I'm like, oh, that's so sad. It's so
sad for Thackeray.
Yeah,
like
that's
you're
what I mean.
stuck
Like,
with this family for the rest of your for immortality.
Existence.
Yeah, like come on.
Just listening to boring drum beats and people fighting. Just like that's your existence. All right, do we have anything else we need to say about Hocus Pocus Jocus the Great Malenko?
Oh wow! I can tell that Brian has nothing else to say.
I mean, yes, it's cheesy. Yes, it's overplayed, but it's still fun. The costumes are fun. The actors are great. The kid actors are great. Like, you can't complain. Like, you really can't. The sets are awesome. It's Disney. Like, it is a fun, easy watch. It's not It's not a masterpiece by any means. Anybody who calls it a masterpiece is fucking wrong. But it is so fun, and I will watch it every year. That's fine with me.
Yeah, as long as we keep getting Disney Plus for free.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I think we're gonna have to pay up for the next season of
pay that big
Mandalorian.
$4.99 or whatever the hell it is.
It's $6.99 and it might break the bank, all right?
All right, well, now it's everyone's favorite part of the show when we ask Megan what her double feature will be, and then all have to scramble to come up with another one.
Easy peasy for the sexy ghost reveal has to be Casper. Devon Sawa messed up my young brain. But then it's also because they ADR the voice, right? Like different voice for the actor of Casper, then it's not Devon Sawa. That little ghost is not Devon Sawa.
Oh.
And all of a sudden he appears. And it's
Devon Sawa, and it's Devon Sawa talking.
And it's his voice. Yeah, and in the last scene, like, can I keep you? Like, what the hell?
Which is kind of creepy. I'm going to say.
I murdered you and we be ghosts
forever.
I was gonna say, I never thought about that until someone pointed out, but like, can I keep you? Sounds like he's like, I want to murder you so you live in this house with me forever.
So we can be teen ghosts forever. Yes.
I was like,
I mean, wouldn't you want to be teen ghost with Christina Ricci forever?
Well, we'll get to that.
I would.
Look, yeah, same.
Brian,
Brian, we know,
Brian,
we know you're lit.
I would. I'm sure we'll cover Casper maybe in a future Halloween episode, but I want to say this now. I've said it on a bonus episode that we did years before Horror Movie Night. Kat's mom is a jerk. She's a jerk, all right? She goes to reward Casper, and she's like, hey, you know what? It was really nice what you did, giving up your chance to have a human body to save my drunk asshole of a husband. So Kat could have a dad. So here's the deal. I'm going to make you human, but you only get until 10 o'clock. And then Casper walks downstairs, and he can't even finish a fucking song on the dance floor before he's a ghost again. So that
she didn't give very much time.
Yeah, she like made that deal at like 9:45. Like, what the hell?
No, it was like 9:55. Jesus.
Well, I assumed he had to get clothes.
He's
a
ghost.
He was a naked ghost?
Well,
Even
I only
better.
I
Oh
only
my
assume
God,
that
it's Devon Sawa.
I only assume that because Bill Pullman as a ghost has clothes on and then comes out with clothes, but all of the other ghosts are naked. So that
Oh,
was
true.
my theory.
The longer you're a ghost, the ectoplasm
Just
shreds
rots
your
away the
clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
100%. All right, so does someone else want to go while I try to figure out?
I would do the witches.
You really want to fuck up some kid's
That
night.
ruined me as a child.
The book ruined me. The book was terrifying.
Yeah, well,
That's a good pick, Brian.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go with Sleepy Hollow because, if I'm going with like non-R-rated, relatively kid-friendly horror movies, I'm gonna go Hocus Pocus and then into Sleepy Hollow because also Sleepy Hollow is one of my all-time, probably in my top 10 of fucking amazing horror movies.
I mean, Sleepy Hollow is R-rated and very gory.
Is it R-rated?
Yeah, it is.
Well, I mean, there are no boobs in it and there's no swearing, so I was
There's
like,
boobs in it.
there are no boobs in it.
There's a lot of visuals that weirdly carry over in Sleepy Hollow. Like they're not shot the same way at all, but like just the kind of setting of Salem and then bouncing over to Sleepy Hollow, they have like a very similar vibe as like locations. So I'm just, because all of the good ones have been taken, I'm gonna go with a movie that I literally haven't seen in probably 20 years.
I know,
and
what
I've
it is.
always considered almost picking it as like a Halloween, like one of these like watching a kids movie for Halloween specials. Have any of you seen, or do you remember The Halloween Tree?
Oh, the one that is based on a Ray Bradbury movie or a book, rather.
Yes, where it's I believe it's Leonard Nimoy voices the character, but it's a group of kids are dressed in like Halloween costumes, and it's like they're a mummy and a witch and a vampire or whatever, and their one friend doesn't show up to trick or treat, and he flies in as a ghost, and it's the ghost of their friend, and they take him to this house where there's a tree that's filled with jack-o'-lanterns inside of it, and he steals one of the jack-o'-lanterns and disappears. And the kids also take jack-o'-lanterns to try to find their friend. It basically takes them through like the history of Halloween and the origins of each one of their costumes. Like it discusses like the Salem witch trials for the girl who's a witch, and like Egypt and what they did with mummies and all this other stuff. And then basically the reveal of the movie is that their friend is dying. He's not dead yet. He's dying of like influenza, and they all agree to take 10 years off of their lives to save him. And like Leonard Nimoy's like this witch doctor, a sorcerer or something, and he manages to take 10 years off of all of the kids' lives to save their friend. It's like a very heavy, depressing ass Christmas or Halloween movie, but I remember it so vividly from childhood, and I feel like I don't want to ever see it again, but then I'm curious to see it again.
I've never even heard of that film.
Really?
No.
How could you?
I mean, my emo ass, I'd probably like that.
But yeah, so yeah, see if you can. I'm sure it's on YouTube if you're curious and want to check it out. Now, what have you watched recently that's worth talking about? How about you, Megan?
Well,
what have you watched since the last time you were on the show?
Oh, yeah, a couple years ago, probably, it feels like.
What have we watched together recently?
We watched the second season of Pen 15, which is brilliant.
Yep.
Absolutely brilliant.
So good.
The Wicca episode is like seriously like the best episode of that show.
Yes,
100%.
Brian, you and Jade need to watch it. You
I
need
know.
to watch it. Did you watch the first season?
Yeah. We loved it. We just haven't gotten around. We have.
only
Sorry in
7
advance,
episodes.
Matt, but isn't it so much better, Brian, to watch it with like a woman who grew up at that time?
Yes.
Sorry, Matt.
Oh, burn!
But like it's so those Maya and Anna are exactly my age, and so like their middle school experience is my middle school experience. And the first season, Scott and I watched it, and he was like, "Did girls really do this?" And I was like, "Oh yes, we did." Like it's so real, it's too real, and we were like crying, laughing. That the Wicca episode was.
The Wicca episode is the best fucking episode.
So well written, so well acted. I'm not surprised that they got the awards that they did.
Mm-hmm.
So fantastic.
Yeah, really good. Season 2 is better than season 1 in my opinion, just because
Definitely.
it's like the beats are better.
Oh, nice.
I definitely agree. The Wicca episode is super good. I am going to talk about very briefly a movie that Scott recommended on this very show many months ago, but I just put it off for reasons. But I finally watched Daniel Isn't Real, and like,
Yes!
holy shit, that movie is incredible. So
Dude, I think I might need to rewatch that this month, because I might actually have to put that on my October 2 watch list, because it is so good.
I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger's kid crushes it in that movie. And then the main star is like every movie that he's appeared in for me, he just crushes it. And he's in the movie Let It Snow, which is like
you cannot stop talking about that fucking movie.
I liked My Friend Dahmer. I haven't seen Let It Snow.
So
would I
Let
like
It
it?
Snow,
I probably wouldn't like it.
You would love Let It
wanna
Snow.
watch
So
it.
Let It Snow, it's a Netflix original movie, and it's literally a Christmas version of Empire Records. Like it is just
yes, please.
It's just a 90s. It's like Empire Records and Can't Hardly Wait. It's an all-in-one day, and it follows 3 different kids and their stories, and it's all ties to them trying to get to the same Christmas party.
And she just added it to her queue.
I just added it
She was
to my
literally
list.
like maniacally finding it on.
And
I do like Kiernan Shipka. I mean, of Mad Men fame. Come on.
And then I also just realized that actor is also Tim Robbins' son. So Tim Robbins producing some good kids, because he's got Miles, who starred in all those movies, including Daniel Isn't Real. And then his other son made the movie VHS, which is a fucking incredible sketch comedy. I don't even know how to describe that movie, but it's very WNUF Halloween special, but with like a more sketch comedy background, because it has a bunch of the people from the state in it. But
of course you got to jerk that off a bit.
I think Brian, you
This
saw
movie
it.
also
Right?
has Joan
Yeah.
Cusack. Come on. This has to be a winner.
I'm telling you, Scott, even you cold-hearted Grinch, will love this movie.
Oh, I'm sorry that I don't love Christmas like you do.
I'm going to make him watch it.
Yeah, but not for another 2 months.
Yeah. You want to wait until right around Thanksgiving. That will be when my new podcast, Christmas 365, comes out. An all-year-round Christmas podcast, and our first episode is reviewing Let It Snow.
Oh, my God. Got to listen to that one.
Okay, I will. I promise.
I started watching Utopia, and it is awesome
With John Cusack.
with John Cusack, which is great because
Nice segue, buddy.
John Cusack is awesome in it. He hasn't worked in a while. It's very conspiracy theory-ish, but it's like I was like trying to explain it to my brother. It's like about these kids these comic book nerds. I don't know if you guys read the comic. I know it's based off a comic. I'm just not a comic book guy, but there's a comic that pretty much is predicting the future in pandemic, and it turns into like this conspiracy theory. So it's like very Stranger Things vibe, but extremely bloody. Episode 1 has about 25 deaths.
Are there any head explosions? Because I mean, I'm in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm in.
It's got your girl, Matt from Happy Death Day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no, it's definitely worth watching.
We didn't get to talk about Kenny Ortega at all in this.
Oh, the
episode.
man who brought us every musical Disney film after this.
Yes, and my favorite movie of all time, which is Newsies. Judge all you want, but it is my favorite movie. I have probably seen it 200 times.
Yeah,
So
easily.
I
Yes.
haven't watched it yet, and the only reason is because a lot of my Disney Plus movies
Wait,
are
you've
like,
never seen Newsies?
I've never
You've
seen
never
Newsies.
seen Newsies?
So-
The original Newsies?
I've never seen Newsies. Here's
What
the
the
thing.
fuck?
I've been watching a lot of Disney Plus like at work. Like I'll just like put stuff on in the background. But like Newsies I want to give my undivided attention to, so that's why it's kind of been on
But
the
like,
back burner.
what did your
Matt!
parents? Why did your parents abuse you so badly that you never were allowed to watch Newsies?
It wasn't that I wasn't allowed to watch Newsies. It didn't have
my
cartoon
God.
characters in it, so
You
I
know-
wasn't interested.
You
So here's
I'm
here's
actually
an
kind
honest,
of jealous that you've never gotten to experience it and that you get to
It'll never
experience
be-
King of New York for the first time.
So
no,
here's-
man, you'll never.
Here's a
They-
fun story that explains why I've never seen Newsies. The first time anyone ever showed me Grease, I was really into it for the first 3 minutes because it was an animated cartoon to the song Grease.
Oh, man.
And then as soon as it turned to like people singing, I was like, all right, I'm done. And I like walked
Forget
away.
this.
Fucking buttered spaghetti, bitch!
Thank you again, Megan, for joining us. This was our Halloween.
Ghost episode.
Hot ghost ball.
Thank you guys for always listening, checking out our Halloween episodes. I can't believe that we've been doing this for so many years, that we've covered Hocus Pocus on 2 different podcasts with the same guest, which is awesome. I've missed having you on, Megan. I feel like I only get to hear your voice when you're telling Scott that it's time for him to stop talking to us.
Right? I guess you need a female guest more often.
We definitely need a lot of...
You can just take my place.
I mean, the last time we spoke, you were telling us about how you went to a camp where a dead body was floating in the lake for most of it.
Your favorite story.
Oh,
yes, which almost burned in that it was called the campfire, or was it? Yeah, creek fire. Excuse me, the creek fire. That camp almost burned to the ground in California.
Jesus Christ. You know what? This is really important for us to say this piece because this is the last episode we're putting out before people have a chance to go out and vote. Go vote. Fucking vote.
Oh my God, please vote.
Yeah, like if you don't vote, you are the worst.
Yeah.
Wow,
And-
that's very articulate.
No,
but
and-
also you lose the rights to complain about anything happening in this country. So please vote.
And again, I say this every year. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but again, I also have a lot of faith in most of our listenership anyway that I wouldn't need to. But it's more important than anything to at least get your voice heard and go out there and make a decision. Not doing anything is not going to solve any
An
problems.
option.
Yeah.
It's
No.
not an option.
And hopefully vote for human decency.
Yes. That's the best
That's
way
my
to put
candidate
it.
this year, human decency.
Human decency. All right, guys.
You know what? I want to tell you really quick. What the worst thing about 2020 has been for me. Not really. I'm just being it's hyperbole. But I had that Can of Cthulhu costume that I was wearing last year, and shit got so bad that even if there wasn't COVID in 2020, I wouldn't have been able to wear that because I would have been like, you know what, this is just muddying the waters.
Yeah.
That's how fucking bad shit is in 2020 that I can't be Can of Cthulhu.
Well, we love you, Matt.
Oh, thank
Do we?
you.
We do.
Okay, I guess we do.
I'll take it.
We also love our listeners who have put up with our shit for all these years, and we hope that you will be with us next Halloween.
Yeah, and we love Brian, even though he bounced out. But
He had important shit to do.
he does. He makes a lot of differences in a lot of people's lives, and that's why I love him. All right. Bye, everybody.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.